channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be spring cleaning or deep cleaning the dining room in our home. So if this is something that you put off because it's just like one of those side rooms, we use our dining room pretty much every night. I mean, we eat dinner every night, and then we also have people over once a month for a potluck fellowship dinner for our church. So, like, we do use our dining room. It does get pretty dirty, but it's very plain. And you're gonna see this throughout my home that I have been so afraid to commit to any sort of big architectural details or art that isn't something that I'm making, because I don't want to spend a whole ton of money on vintage art or new art or anything like that. And I don't really love a lot of the trends that are out there in places like Hobby Lobby and whatnot. It's not that they're bad or anything. I just don't really like commercial type things. I like my one of a kind sort of things. So anyhow, I say all that to say that this room gets a little bit neglected. Not in that I don't like wash the table and occasionally dust and things like that. It's just because the room is not appealing to my eye, because it's so plain, that I'm kind of like about it. And I feel like this is actually a thing that happens in women's brains throughout our whole house. Like, I just basically finished our hallway renovation and I love it so much. I'm so obsessed with it. And I can't stop looking at it. So when I walk into the hallway, and this is so ridiculous, but it's true. When I walk into the hallway, if something is out of place, it immediately aggravates me, not to the point where I'm like mad or anything, but to where it prompts me to pick it up and put it away. Or if something is spilled, it prompts me to wipe it up, because that thing that's out of place or that looks like a mess makes the hallway not look as pretty. And so I want to fix it immediately. And I think this is something that we can end up doing in our whole homes. So if you for years, I mean for 15 years, we lived in rental homes where we really didn't have a choice in the aesthetics. We couldn't paint or anything like that. So, just managing with what you've got. And I'm a big proponent of, you've heard me say this a million times, don't run out to buy new things. Wait, see how you use your space. Live with the little bit of annoyance in the short term for a long-term gain. So I think I've said this a couple times, but we built this house in 2020 and we closed and moved in 2021. So it was a new build when we moved in, and it was incredibly plain on purpose, because when we were touring with different builders, we just did not love anything that any of our local builders were offering, except for custom builders. Of course, we love their stuff. But our budget was at like the tippy top of a track home builder, or at the very low end of a custom home builder. So we went for the track home with some custom touches. We found a track home builder who at the time was allowing you to do some custom things if you paid for them up front. And now none of the track home builders in our area are doing anything custom at all. They're just pumping out track homes. Or I don't know I don't know what they call them anywhere else, but spec houses or builder grade homes, those kind of things. So we found a builder who was mostly doing track homes or spec homes, fit into our budget, offered a track home, spec home at the square footage that we were looking for. We already owned our land outright. We had bought that and we had paid that off several years earlier. And we were just waiting for the right time. And for whatever reason, 2020 seemed like the right time. And we signed our contract to build this home just before the whole building industry went absolutely bonkers in Florida. So it was starting to uptick when we signed our contract to build, but basically immediately after we signed our contract to build, because I believe we signed it in, I want to say maybe September of 2019 or something like that. And then it took like 3 months for groundbreaking to even start being a thing to happen. So I think we actually signed our contract to build in 2019. So it was before the madness that happened in Florida. And then throughout 2020, our builder kept trying to back out of the contract and they could not. So they were dragging their feet on a lot of different things. And that's a whole story in and of itself. Beware track home builders, beware, just beware. Okay, so anyways, they were forced to build our home, and they were kind of bitter about it. And so as we were going through the design center and choosing design choices, they really wanted us to spend a lot of money in the design center. And do not do it. If you are at all handy and you're looking to build a new home, do not spend money in the design center if you can help it, because it will be universally cheaper for you to do the things on your own, or for you to even wait until you move in and then hire someone that you trust to do it for you. I cannot recommend anything better than, well, the other thing you should do is you should always get a new home inspection done by a third party. Always. That saved us literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, and again, that might be a different story for a different day. But anyways, because we moved into basically a bare bones home, and I mean bare bones. We moved in, we immediately ripped out rolled linoleum because we did not pay for their flooring. We immediately ripped out their cheap baseboards because we picked the absolute lowest of everything from them. And we were actually required to put baseboards in. We could not close without baseboards. We could not close without flooring. We knew that the day we moved in, we were tearing everything out and putting in what we wanted. So we had to put some things in initially that the builder offered, but we picked the literal lowest of everything that they offered. In fact, we got money back on our build because we chose things like rolled linoleum. So they actually gave us a credit, because we knew at the moment that we moved in, we were laying luxury vinyl plank in, and we had looked at their prices versus what we could do, and we knew we could do it because it's easy to do. And we saved like $30,000 putting in our own floors. So that's just a little taste of why you should never purchase what the design center offers. You should always price out your own things. And that savings included baseboards, and included underlayment, and included all of it. So like, we saved a ton of money doing it ourselves. The trade-off, of course, is that you move into a construction zone. And here's where our today's story actually begins. Because we moved into a construction zone, I was so overwhelmed for that first year of basically just doing the things to get the house up to a livable standard, like putting floors in, like getting baseboards put in. And shocker, I still don't have baseboards in every room of the house. Like, we just put baseboards in the library at the beginning of this year? No, at the end of last year. So it was like 2 years before we got the baseboards finished in all the main rooms. I still don't have baseboards in a couple of the closets, including the master closet, which is my little YouTube recording studio. And so I'm sitting here staring at my no baseboard floors. But here's the thing. We're going to redo this closet and put in custom shelving and custom drawers and things like that. So I'm not in any hurry to do this particular project. I don't care. I'm just going to ignore it for right now and spend my time more wisely on things that actually increase the enjoyment of my home. Would baseboards in the closet be great? Sure. It would like make me stop staring at the underlayment that's in here. However, I would just have to tear those baseboards out when I go to paint in here and when I go to put in the new shelving and all that. And I don't know when that's going to be. The closet functions just fine right now. So I say all that to say that this particular dining room, this particular room in the house, was just a box. It didn't have those built-in shelves. It didn't even have lighting. It was just a box, and it was very plain, of course. So once we got the flooring in and once we got the baseboards in, I was looking at those corners and it felt like a wasted space. So I asked my husband if he could build me some open shelving there so we could potentially store like things for our dinner parties, maybe the liquor for the liquor cabinet. Not that we're big drinkers, we're not, but we always get gifted wine and liquor and things like that, and I do use it in baking and cooking. I have no problems with drinking, of course, but it's just not something that we really do anymore. Nursing a hangover is like the same time as outpatient surgery recovery, and it's just not fun. So a glass of wine now and then, sure. Maybe a mixed drink if we go out, sure. But it's just not something that we're like big drinkers or anything. So Don't get me wrong, I do love a good Moscow Mule, and I will enjoy a drink if we go on a cruise, but it's just not like it's not an everyday occurrence. So we have this really nice liquor collection from being gifted. A lot of times my husband is tipped really nice bottles of foreign liquor. And it's crazy because I did not know that this was a thing until he started working in the service industry and started coming home with like 5-gallon buckets of honey and things like that. And I just think that's so great. Like I love that. We're big into bartering. We're big into practicality. And so somebody gave him a really nice bottle of Cuban rum that came from Cuba. And it was great. I used it to make vanilla. So, anyways, so this boring room just gets kind of ignored. I do a once over dusting, like just a really quick dusting with a dust mop once a week. And of course, the floors get vacuumed every day with the robot vac. But I rarely ever move the table to get into the corners. I rarely ever take anything off those shelves to dust everything and to go through what we've got. And it just kind of becomes like a little bit of a dumping area where it's like, oh, I got some napkins. Let me set them over here because I don't have room in my pantry, blah, 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 blah. And so, anyways, it's on my list to tackle this room in terms of a full makeover this year. We'll see if that happens because I bumped the hallway up. The hallway wasn't even really on the radar, but now that that's done and I saw the process, I have the hiccups. So if you hear that, I am so sorry. So anyways, now that the hallway's about done, I saw the process and how like simple it was. It wasn't hard to renovate the hallway. It was just tedious. It was a lot of waiting for my husband to cut wood, waiting for him to be home so that like I have an extra set of hands. I'm not real proficient with tools. I'm sure I could learn. I don't really want to. I also have a husband. So like there are some things that I could speed up this process with, but I don't really feel like doing that. And it's fine. The house is for the people. So if it takes a couple weeks for a project to get finished and my husband has a heavy workload, it's fine. Everything's good. So anyhow, this room is going to get a huge makeover sometime this year, and I'm not really sure what that looks like. I'm currently searching for inspiration via Pinterest, and now that the hallway is done, the rest of the house feels very plain. Which, like, it was okay when the whole house was very plain, but now you walk into a really beautiful, really welcoming hallway, and then you walk through the hallway into the rest of the home, and the rest of the home is very plain. And that was the first thing my husband pointed out when we were starting with the hallway. He was like, this is going to make the rest of the house feel very plain. And I was like, it's fine. I want the hallway done because I want that to be the first thing that anybody who comes into our home knows about us. Like, this hallway is like, welcome to our home. And so now this space where we host our dinner parties just feels dull. It feels plain and dull. And it is. And that's really our style. Our style for years, because we have been renting, has been plain and dull because we haven't been able to put anything on the walls. We haven't been able to put any personality into anything. And truth be told, we're both a little bit boring. So I haven't wanted to commit to anything until I was sure of what I wanted. And so it started with the hallway. And now that I feel really confident because it turned out, if I do say so, super great. Now I want to do something else. And I think it's going to cause a snowball. But again, I have to be very conscientious of the budget. So it's probably going to be a couple months before I can start anything in this room on a large scale. But my husband, right after we moved in, he did build these shelves for me, but they're not even trimmed out. They're just built-ins. But they need their trim. So they're just the faces. They also need doors. And the thing too is my husband didn't have all the tools that we needed for a lot of these projects. So as we're doing projects, he's acquiring the tools that are going to be necessary for future projects. So again, this is just going to be a time thing, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay. So in this room, I just got these curtains that I took down in the beginning of the video on Amazon. They were long enough and cheap, and they hold up to washing beautifully. So what I needed was I needed budget-friendly curtains. I needed them to be sheer because this is the main source of light for the kitchen right here. And I needed them to be long enough and also super washable. We host potluck dinners once a month for our whole church. Little kids are grabbing the curtains, and it's fine. That my house is gonna have fingerprints and whatever. But I need to be able to take the curtains down about every 6 months and wash them. We also have a cat and a dog. The dog doesn't bother the curtains, but the cat thinks that the curtains are the best hidey spot, even though you can see straight through them because they are sheer. Orange cats all share one brain cell, I'm convinced. And my cat never gets the turn with the brain cell. I love him. He's dear, but he's not real bright. So anyways, he uses these curtains as a little hidey space, and he's a long-haired cat, so his fur gets all over the curtains, and if I did not have washable curtains, or if my curtains were dry clean only, it would be insane. So right there, I'm just showing you my favorite energy drink. I don't drink these real often, but it's yerba mate, so I just really like them. It's a super clean, even source of energy versus like a Red Bull or something along those lines. I even do not get the same crash drinking yerba mate that I do drinking coffee. So something to look into if you're interested in energy drinks that are really clean and aren't going to give you that crash. So sometimes in the mid-afternoon, I will go grab a yerba mate just to keep me going through the rest of the day, especially if I didn't sleep really great the night before. I try not to have these after 2, though, because if I drink caffeine after 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm not going to sleep. It's just not going to happen. So anyhow, I am taking everything off these shelves. Well, first I took the curtains down. I put them in a hamper because I have those same curtains in basically all the other common rooms in the house. So I have those same curtains in the gym, in the library, and in the laundry room. And so I was just gathering up all those curtains so I could do them in one load. And I needed curtains that were washable and affordable, and Amazon answered the call. I don't love supporting Amazon. Don't get me wrong. I wish I had the talent and time to sew curtains because I would definitely do it. I'm going to learn this year how to sew. It's like on my list of things to learn. Last year I learned crochet, and the year before I picked back up embroidery. I had been doing embroidery for a long time, but the year before I really picked it back up and dove into it. So this year I think it's going to be sewing, but we'll see. It might be DIY house renovation projects. Not 100% sure. So I'm just taking everything off these shelves, dusting, wiping the glasses down, wiping bottles down, removing bottles of liquor that have been up there for I don't even know how long. And I moved them out to the garage fridge. So I think somebody had gifted us a couple bottles of champagne last year for New Year's, and we never opened them, and we don't drink champagne, and I don't use it in cooking, so it's just been sitting up there, making that shelf look really crowded. So I'm just dusting everything, and then these shelves get super dusty because the cat and the dog use the dining room as a circular place to chase each other. They usually get along really well, but when one of them gets in a mood, they'll both get the zoomies and they'll chase each other, and then they go around and around and around in the dining room. So also things about this dining room, once we get the cabinets trimmed out, I really do think I want to do board and batten or picture frame molding or something in here because it's so plain. There's also, if you can tell because of the camera angle, it's a little weird, but there's a strange slope on the ceiling. So the house kind of has a gabled roof. It has a gabled roof, and we stretched the house as wide as we possibly could. So I think we added like 4 or 8 feet to the width of the house, and it basically sits from easement to easement on this particular lot. And so it's got this sloped roof that goes, I think it's like 8 feet at the window, and then it goes up to 10, and then it's flat there. So the chandelier had to be kicked over a little bit so that it would be on the flat part and not on the sloped part. That's fine because I think that's still the center point of the room. And of course my camera is not doing the greatest job of capturing the size of this room because it's really quite long. That table I think is 8 feet long, and it's pushed 3 feet off the window space. We have a server that matches this table, but there's really not room in this room because it's long and narrow for that server. So we're using that server currently as our living room TV console. And at some point in time, we might change that all up. I would really love to do build-ins in the living room, but that's a huge project, and that's going to require probably my husband to have a couple weeks off work or something like that. So for right now, we're just making do with what we have. I'm not interested in going out and purchasing a bunch of stuff. Sometimes I'll find something on Facebook Marketplace, which is one of my favorite places to look for doodads and furniture and things like that. Also, I will check out thrift stores, and I will go up to the Habitat Restore and things like that. But for right now, I'm not real interested in dropping a lot of money into anything until I find that perfect inspiration photo on Pinterest and I get a very concrete idea of what I want in my head. So my house is going to feel a little disjointed probably for a few years, and I'm just going to have to get over it. It's fine. At some point in time, it won't be done. I joke and I say that a mortgage is 30 years because it's going to take you 30 years to define your style in your home, but I think that might actually be true. I don't think that's a joke. I think it's taking me a lot of time to figure out what I actually want our space to look and feel like. And maybe that's because I grew up in rentals. Maybe that's because I've always lived in rentals. Maybe that's because I just don't know a whole lot about interior design or anything like that. But I do know when I see something that I really like, how to turn that and translate it into something that will work in my space. So I'm hopeful that I'll have a more concrete idea of style. So I think I said in the hallway renovation part 1 video that this house is done in Craftsman, but it's like Florida Craftsman. So it's not really Craftsman. The exterior looks a little Craftsman-y. If you think stucco looks Craftsman, which I don't necessarily, but that's besides the point. So very plain, very clean lines, very simple, not a lot of detail. And so I want to be cognizant of this, like the architectural style that the house was supposed to be, which is Craftsman. But also we live in the country. I have a garden. Well, when I say we live in the country, we do live on a dirt road, but we're still inside city limits. So we are as far out of the city as you can be in with it still being in the city. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens. I'm sure our road is like slated to get paved in the next 5 years or something. That probably will happen. We'll see what happens though. So anyways, I like the farmhouse style, but I feel like it's really overdone. I don't love things written and pasted on the wall and stuff like that. So I'm leaning towards like a boho or an eclectic farmhousey look with heavy Craftsman influence. So, and I'm not 100% sure what that translates to in our space and how feasible all of that is. But my Pinterest inspiration boards look beautiful. So, I just want to encourage you that if you're in a home that you're not 100% happy with, that isn't Pinterest perfect, that isn't Instagram worthy, that's maybe plain or maybe isn't your home that you own, so you can't do a lot to it. It doesn't matter. Use the space that you have to the best of your ability to serve your people well and to glorify the Lord. Whatever space that is, whether that's a studio apartment and you live by yourself, or whether that's a beautiful farmhouse from the 1900s on 25 acres of land, or anything in between. Use your space to glorify the Lord and to serve the people in your life. And whatever that looks like for you, I applaud you if you're trying to do it well. Here I am just cleaning off the table because I dusted the light fixture. I like this light fixture. It was a dupe that I got off Amazon, off something that I liked at Restoration Hardware and was not spending the $800 at Restoration Hardware for. I don't know if this is something that I'll use long term because it is very farmhousey. Again, I think it mimics the plain, clean lines of the room, which I was happy with initially, but the more I'm delving into using color and architectural details and things like that, the less I'm leaning towards farmhouse. So again, all of this can be changed. Nothing is permanent. The tapestry on the left-hand wall, I think I got that on clearance at Target like 2 decades ago. And it's just followed me. I like it. I think it's cute. It clearly doesn't fit the space. And then the tapestry on the right-hand wall, I actually was perusing Etsy one day for boho themed stuff, decor, and I saw this wall medallion made with wood and yarn, and somebody was selling it for like $300. And I was looking at it and I was like, it's just wood and yarn. I would not spend $300 on that. I'm pretty sure I can make it. So I showed a picture to my husband. He was like, yeah, that would be easy. I'll just cut you a wood medallion and you can glue yarn to it. And I was like, uh-huh. So that's what I did. I think the whole project cost less than $20 and took me about an hour. The longest part was just lining up the thread, the yarn. So anyways, I thought it was really cute. I don't know that it fits the space. It's way bigger than the tapestry on the other wall, but I don't have anywhere else to put it right now. I really like it. So here's where it sits. So, again, I've just been really hesitant to commit to any sort of architectural details or anything that's going to affect the budget. So I am just going around. We have, I think, 6-inch tall baseboards in here, and I am dusting the tops of them. They are Craftsman, so they're very plain and square, and they collect dust like crazy, so I dust all of that. We also store our robot vacuum in this room, and so I dusted that as well. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to sweep all the edges where the robot vacuum went through because I knocked all the stuff off the shelves. And the robot vacuum does pretty good, except it doesn't get like the corners real well, so I have to go and sweep. And then I run the vacuum again. And then to finish this video up, I'm going to be mopping, I believe. So I start if you're going to deep clean a room, then start at the top of the room and work your way down. I started with the curtains since those already needed to be washed and I had a load ready to go. And then I went to the windows because the windows were super, super dirty. I don't know if it's just living in Florida or what, but our windows get so dirty. Mud daubers make their homes in them. Wasps and bees make their homes in them. And then the tree frogs leave froggy prints all over all of the windows, which is cute until it's not cute. So thankfully, all of our windows open interior. They open to the interior so I can wash them. The uppers don't open to the interior though. So those I have to go outside and wash, and I'm just not ready for that particular job because the screens need to be washed too. So I did the ones that I could do. I did the uppers and the lowers on the inside as well. And then I'm going to hold off on the exterior uppers and the screens until I can pull the pressure washer out of the mess that is the garage and handle that, because I'm going to have to pressure wash the gutters and clean those all out as well. We have, as you can see, we're in a very wooded area. We get lots of pine and all kinds of bird stuff put into the gutters. So that'll be a chore probably in about a month or two that I'm going to have to tackle before storm season gets here. This is the O-Cedar Spin Mop. I like it. I wish I would have gotten the one with the two separate containers with the mop water in one and the clean water in the other. But I got a great deal on this because it was on clearance at Target, so it's just what I happened to get. I use vinegar for LVP. I use a 50-50 mix of vinegar and hot water and a little bit of scent, a little bit of essential oils to give the mop water a not vinegar scent. But other than that, as you'll see, this cleans beautifully and it leaves a really great shine on the LVP floors, and it's safe for LVP as well. I looked up the manufacturer's recommendations and they said vinegar and water is just fine. So that's what I'm using here. Nothing expensive, nothing crazy. Just giving this a good clean and a good shine. And then I'm going to finish up the laundry And I'm gonna hang the curtains, but I don't remember if at the end of this video, if I actually hung the curtains yet or not, or if I just took a picture of the cleaned room. I got this table runner here off Amazon. The cheese board with the serving trays, pretty sure that came from Target clearance. You'll see a theme here. I love Target clearance and I love Amazon. I wish I had the budget to support, you know, local, but not right now. So anyhow, I just wanted to encourage you. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic week. Thank you again so much to all the new subscribers. My channel has been gaining a ton of traction. I appreciate the comments, but the best thing you can do if you like my content is share it with a friend if you think it would be beneficial to them, if you think it would help encourage them, if it would help motivate them, and that's really the best thing you can do. So I love you guys. Solo Deo Gloria. Fellowship with your people. Get them into your space. Do some spring cleaning and get your people in your home. No matter what your home looks like. Don't consume YouTube content that just makes you feel demotivated. Consume content that educates and inspires you. And that's my little word of wisdom for you guys today. So anyhow, thank you again for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you later. Bye.